G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game. This is the very first casted game of the brand new DLC. Now, of course, the new DLC hasn't released just yet, but it is available on the PUP, the public update preview. Spawning in on the north side of the map, playing in the color red as the Malians, representing Team Liquid, it is the Muslim. And on the south side of the map, representing My Insanity, in the color blue, playing as, I was going to say as the Ethiopians. No, this is the Ottomans. It is the Mister. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are here on Dry Arabia, just going with a classic opening to begin with us off in this series. Now, of course, you will be able to see down in the bottom right-hand corner of our screen, somewhere down there, there's the EGC TV logo, and that is because this show match is hosted by EGC TV. This is a play-all show match, and these two players are going to be looking to pull out a victory here today and play and hopefully pull out some decent prize money as well, because it is a play-all-5 show match. Every single show match that you win, you're going to be netting yourself a little bit of a reward. So we're going to be diving in and seeing exactly how these guys open up. Now, obviously, the Muslim, he's on the Malians, so opening up on the gold vein. Now, I'm kind of tempted. Do we just get some? I feel like we just get some quick little audio in right here. Let's get maybe 32%. There we go. All right. So hopefully that brings in some music to keep us company. So it's going to be in a opening here for the Muslim, where he just looks to try and get as many of the houses around the pit mines. Now, interestingly, it looks like he's just given up. He's gone with about 6, which I think I sort of theorized that players would look to do this. They'll find the optimal amount of houses that you want to place so that crosses over the 200 threshold right as you hit 400 food. And I think that's what we've got the Muslim doing here. We'll check in over on the other side of the map and see what the Mister is up to, as he's going to be going for a bit of a French opening. At least that's what I call it. It's the 8 on food, the 4 on gold. Now, one of the curious things to note about this build order is typically you'd see this build order come out for the French because it's very easy for them to drop down a mill on the berries and then subsequently go for the early wheelbarrow. So I'm curious exactly how Mister's going to be playing this. So we do see the twin minaret madrasa coming down. I've been watching a fair bit of streams going on as well, just trying to get an understanding of how players are feeling about the meta, and it seems that this is actually it's one of the few civilizations that is having a split in the landmarks. You know, every other civilization has got a guaranteed landmark that you go for, or at least most civilizations. I mean, yeah, 99%. Actually, every civilization has got like a single landmark that you go for, but yeah, it seems like the Ottomans might actually be split down the middle, at least for the moment, until the meta sets. Now, it's going to be single scout openings for both of these guys. Nothing too crazy. And we'll take a look over at the base of the Muslim, as he's going to start moving on to a heavy amount of wood and dropping down that lumber camp, dropping down the Mansa quarry in the base. So this is pretty much, this was my theory, that it is almost certain that this is the only landmark you're going to see players go for, at least initially. It seems a little bit too risky at this point in the game to be going for any kind of trade, but obviously developers are looking to buff up trade, so who knows, we might actually see trade become relevant eventually. But it looks like it's a pretty early age up here. 5 villages down on the Mansa Quarry, for anybody wondering what these do. Obviously, it's the new expansion. So the Mansa Quarry just gives you 75 gold, and it can be toggled to stone. So you can have 75 stone instead if you want. I guess we could talk a little bit about the pit mine as well. You can see it providing 75 gold a minute. So essentially, it provides gold based on how many buildings are around it, specifically houses and mining camps. So the more you can fit around it, the better. And yes, I will tell you now, you can actually put mining camps, or rather, you can put a pit mine on the large gold veins, and you can actually put more buildings on them and get higher gold a minute. So there you go. All right, well, over in the base of the Muslim, it looks like he has got his Mansa Quarry working on stone, and he's also picked up a stone outcropping as well with a fair few villages on this. So it looks like it's going to be a fast second town center for him. We also see him opening up with a mill here, so it looks like it could be an early wheelbarrow coming through here. Scout also moving down across the map. We'll ride on board with the Mister and see how he's doing, as it's going to be, by the looks of it, a similar kind of opening, but we do see a stable here. So no military school, at least not yet. Now, Mister does have plenty of villages here on stone. Now, it could be a second town center for him. I wouldn't be surprised in the current meta to see him move into that direction, but we already do have our very first Sipahi coming out. for the Mister. Now, one of the things to note is we're yet to see any Vizier points spent at the Imperial Council, but we'll keep you updated on that one. They kind of just drop in like a shipment from the town center or from the home city. If you ever played Age of Empires 3, it's very reminiscent of that. But indeed, we can see the Mister. He's going to be working towards that second TC. So I'm curious what kind of direction he goes for once he hits that second TC. Now, one of the things to note that Mister, I would actually suggest that he's doing incorrectly here is we can see that he's got villagers over here on the sheep. You want to get these bad boys over onto these berry bushes, because the sooner you exhaust these berry bushes, the sooner they respawn. It's infinite food, and it respawns once it's been exhausted. It takes, I think, 120 seconds for that specific bush to come back in. And I think each bush, I'll have to double check this, but I'm confident each bush is on an individual timer, which means that the sooner you exhaust them, the sooner they come back. Obviously, there's a nice little window that you can find with maybe like 4 or 5 villagers, and then it's just like, you know, they finish the bush, and then by the time they finish the last bush, then the first one is respawned, all that kind of stuff. But it looks like it's going to be warrior scouts coming out for Muslim here, so an interesting development. So the stable has got an upgrade for the scouts, which turns them into warrior scouts, makes them a little bit more expensive, but you can see it does very well. It also increases their movement speed, so they're as fast as horsemen, and they do very well against other scouts. They also regen. There's a lot of good things that they've got going for them. Second town center has now come down for Muslim, though, with the warrior scouts. Now, these guys can go all the way up to veteran and elite warrior scouts. I'm not sure exactly how much the upgrade costs, but it's negligible. But one of the things that we haven't seen players do that I would love to see, it would be professional scouts together with those warrior scouts. Because if you're going to go very heavy on the scouts, then it makes sense that you could actually utilize that extra movement speed and those larger numbers, because we do see players tend to go for quite a lot of scouts here. But we do have Mister now dropping down his own second town center as well. And it looks like the first military school of the game is going to be coming up about 7 minutes. Now, the military school system is a unique one to the Ottomans, but we'll take a look and see exactly what he went for with regard to the Vizier point. So it's going to be Anatolian Hills. So Anatolian Hills provides plenty of sheep. So we can see right there, he's got 16 sheep. He's also got a whole bunch of carcasses underneath. And so it provides that. It also provides a 10% buff to mining. So that includes your stone as well as your gold. So a nice little buff there that lasts for the entire game. Great little way. And of course, once you've unlocked that first tier, it enables you to get the second tier. So you can expect to see something like military campers coming through, or siege crews, which is also really good and can be tied together quite well with the Age 3 landmark that the Ottomans have access to. But now Muslim going to be on the defensive, and we start to see the upgrades coming through. Now, one of the things that seems very common with a lot of these Malian players is they just maximize all of their upgrades. And you can see that it is no different here with Muslim. He's already got through tier 1 on his lumber gathering, and now he's going for forestry. Of all the things, forestry. And we can see that it looks like we might have ourselves a cattle ranch. Yes. So Muslim going to be investing into the cattle ranch here. We can see him actually rallying the mill into the cattle ranch as well, which will mean that the cows will automatically go inside, because you actually need, you can see right there, it goes to 1 out of 3, and then that's going to make the difference here, and actually provide that little bit of food trickle. So the way that the cattle ranch works, for anybody wondering, is that it provides a trickle of 28 food per minute for every cow that's inside, or every cattle that is inside. So it is, it's pretty, I was going to say pretty powerful, pretty powerful once it gets rolling. Now, with these cows as well, you can actually eat these bad boys. They've got 500 food on them, and they only cost 100 gold. So it's kind of insane when you think about it. You can just really start booming up crazy. But now we've got those warrior scouts moving into the gold mine, looking to try and get some tags on the villagers. Not going to be able to find too many successes here, unfortunately, as the town center is going to be able to fire it away. Second military school has now come up for the Mister on the south side of the map, and we begin to see walls coming up. It's going to be palisades coming up on both sides of the map. At the same time, the Sipahi are going to be moving out across the map. I suspect we might have some castles coming through shortly, at least castle ages. But scouts now turning their attention towards the mining camp, digging through it, absolutely destroying it now. And we'll check in on the north side of the map as we can see the second pit mine has come through. So one of the things to remember with the pit mine is that you unlock a new one with every age that you go up. So the base here, once you've got all 8 buildings around it, it is 90 a minute. So it's a pretty decent amount, but we've now got a sofa coming out. That is not a cavalry unit that you would sit on. No, sorry, Bob. It's kind of a cross between a knight and a horseman. Okay, it's fast, you know, 1.73 movement speed, but at the same time, it's got armor on it. And it does 16 damage, which is flat damage, and it also does a +2 against infantry. I don't know what the +2 does against infantry. Like, there's got to be some sort of break point that it does well against. But yeah, it's essentially, it's a feudal age. It's like a knight 1.5. Let's, a 0.5 of a knight. Let's just say that. A horseman 1.5, probably the best way to do it. To Muslim now, coming around the south side of the map, looking to try and spot out some more villages. Has obviously tapped away at that stone outcroppings mine encampment. It is gone completely. But now those villagers, once again, are going to be tagged on the gold mine. Doing a great job of hitting Mister on the south side. And now the Sipahi are going to be coming back, looking to try and defend. We hear a wolf on the front as well. Just units running around non-stop. The Sipahi 1.88 movement speed. These guys are quick as well, but not going to be fast enough to catch these hardened warrior scouts. The Sofa, however, they will actually catch. So technically, they should be fine. Now, one of the things to note, you can see all of these Sipahis are quite low on health. One of the things that the Mister could have gone for is he could have gone for his field work, which actually gives him 2 imams, spawns 2 imams, and it unlocks the ability to do an AoE heal. So if you've ever seen, you know, the Abbasid, once they've got the culture wing, they can get this upgrade, which enables their keeps to do a giant AoE heal, called healing centers. Well, essentially, it's the exact same thing as that. So very, very cool. Third town center now going to be coming up for the Mister. So a huge economic focus here. Players definitely intent on booming it up at this early stage in the game. And take a look at this. Look at what we got back here. The Muslim just going ham with the cattle. He's going to be thinking about hitting up the castle age as well. Now, in addition to the pit mine providing infinite gold for the 90 gold a minute that it's got, you can actually mine out the gold mine from underneath the pit mine. As far as I'm aware, it should still provide the gold trickle after the gold mine is gone. You're not going to be able to actually mine the gold, obviously, because it is, well, it's non-existent anymore. Villagers moving out, though. We do have the Age 3 landmark coming through. It's going to be the Farimba Garrison, which, if you've ever played Age of Empires 3, basically think of the Russians, and it is exactly the same as that, as a blockhouse. Let's just put it that way. So you pay for batch training, it's cheaper units, but you only pay gold. So it's a very, very cool landmark, and it synergizes quite well with this civilization. But Mister has now reached the castle age. He's got a nice bit of a raid coming through here, but looks like, for the most part, the Sofa will be able to repel repel the Sipahi for now. We'll ride on board with the Mister and see which landmark he went for. It's going to be the Istanbul Imperial Palace. So one of the landmarks that's a bit more economic focused, or at least focused a bit more on the unique systems of the Ottomans. And we can hear those relics now being picked up behind the scenes. So he's actually picked up field work. So he looks to pick up field work just before he aged up. So that's going to enable him to get those 2 free imams, which will guarantee that he can already pick up relics. So he doesn't have to build the mosque and get the relics in. He's already got the imams. He just builds the mosque to put the relics inside of it. So very, very nice play from him here. And we've got the first of the knights out on the field. So Mister going to be moving into knights. Now, one of the things to note is that with your military schools, you can't actually make knights from them or train knights from them until you've got a special tech. It is this one down here. Advanced Academy outfits military schools with the ability to produce knights and janissaries, but you'll only unlock this tier of technology, or this tier of, tier of technology, once you've chosen a tier 2 tech. So there's a little bit of a burden if you do look to try and fill out your first line of technologies, and there are some good ones in there. Yeah, it is. Let's see what he went with. It looks like he's gone with the military campus, so he's going to be able to add in another military school. We see another one moving down. He's got the blacksmith, which is going to be also buffing these up. So the blacksmith is going to provide an AoE, or an area of effect, to all of the military schools around it, and it's going to give it a bonus of an extra 33% build speed, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. An extra 33%. Villagers going to be running for their lives as the toll outpost looks to fire down upon the knights underneath it. Knights doing a pretty decent job here. the same time, going to be looking to repel on the front as we've got our first archers. Now, the Ottomans are a very standard civilization when it comes to Age of Empires 4. They kind of just remind me of any other European civ. They've got a few differences around the edges, but realistically, most of it, it's all the same. Compare that over to the Malians, and these guys are just on another absolute level. It is just completely... The counter system, the way that it works, is just absolutely mad. And now we see the archers beginning to come out, and you can see groups of 5 archers making their way out onto the field through the Farimba garrison. Now, one of the key things to note here is you want to avoid getting your upgrades from the Farimba garrison, just because it does take the same time as a normal barracks, whereas with this, you get a discounted cost, as well as batch training. So you're training 5 for 1. Got a couple of relics out here. Yet to be taken, but the Muslim at this point in time is starting to mass up quite a fair bit of units. My concern, though, is that on the enemy side, we did see a heavy amount of knights and lancers coming out. So I'd love to see from the Farimba garrison maybe just a few Donzos. You know, I love a Donzo Artie, an Aussie Donzo. I love the Donzo. I reckon they're a great unit. So I'd love to see a few of those out just to kind of be a little bit more careful in this position, because we can see the cavalry numbers coming out for the Mr. looking pretty decent. The Ottoman cavalry pushes out, and oh my lord, have a look at that. You know, we got to get a picture of that right there. That is beautiful. That is the quintessential Ottoman base right there. Absolutely beautiful stuff from the Mr. here. But we'll ride on board. We'll see how he's doing up towards the north, as I suspect we might have a bit of trouble up here for the Muslim. Once Mr. gets behind these walls, he's going to be able to break through, and there's a lot of potential over here. Actually, might have a bit of a chop through coming in as well. Now, another thing to note is that neither of these civilizations can actually take the boar. So you can see the boar down here. He's actually going to be very safe. He can't be taken. He can be killed, but he can't be eaten. Let's just put it that way. So... Mr. going to be falling back from this position. Now, one of the things to note is that when it comes to the counter system for the Malians, that it is a little bit weird. You don't get a crossbow unit per se. Instead, you get this one here, the Javelin Thrower, which is a skirmisher unit. If you ever played Age of Empires 2, it's the exact same style, and we have a second mosque coming down here. We've already got a first one. I don't know whether he's forgotten about the first one that he made. Yeah, you've got a ranged unit that counters ranged units, but it doesn't counter knights. Let's just put it that way. Whereas the Donzo, however, is a very effective counter to them. And now I'm getting a little bit scared. We can see he's actually got poisoned arrows coming in. The Muslim does. So he's getting the unique upgrade there. We can see Military Academy coming through. Balanced projectiles also going to be coming through. So he's going to be spamming out a whole bunch of upgrades for the veteran archers, trying to go mass veteran archers as well as sofas. And you can see that the armor numbers here are actually pretty damn decent on these bad boys. He's got a whole bunch of unique techs. Now running out of population space, sitting on 150 at the moment. Compare that over to the Mr., who's on 145. He's dropped down the keep as well. Absolutely beautiful keep here for this civilization, the Ottomans. And things just looking well for him. We'll double check it once again with the Imperial Council. We can see that he's got the upgrade. It's going to be fast training, so an extra 25% comes through from that one. So still not going to be able to add in any of the knights just yet. I'm curious whether we see Janissaries out on the field. It doesn't look like it just yet. Still no Janissaries coming out. Obviously, the Janissary is the unique hand cannoneer for the Ottomans available to them in the Castle Age. So we can see it down here. Janissary. It is, here we go, an expensive boy. But we've got ourselves a potential base trade coming in as the Muslim moves down towards this south side of the map. Keep trying to get up. It doesn't look doubtful. I suspect it will get up as the villagers make a run around towards the backside. Going to be having to jump inside here. Indeed, they do. But he's going to be careful not to lose. He does actually manage to lose quite a few villagers in there. But veteran archer numbers looking pretty happy and healthy. My concern is that there's no Donzos here at all. There's no anti-cavalry whatsoever. The best that you're going to be doing is just breaking even with the cavalry. But now we've got that counterattack coming through. Massive amounts of villagers up towards this northern position. Going to be going up against the knights. Obviously not a lot of fun there, as the villagers get absolutely mauled. And there's the Donzos coming out, looking to get amongst the fight. These guys have got a ranged attack that they can throw at cavalry. It does, or rather at everything, and it does extra damage against that cavalry unit as well, as far as I'm aware. I might have to double check my facts on that one. But once again, Mr. Going to be in a bit of an awkward spot here, as all of his units are just kind of chilling out in the enemy base. My concern right now is that there's just no anti-cav at all. And we've seen just Mr. massing up cavalry the entire game, and look at the veteran knight numbers, or rather just the knight numbers are absolutely massive. And look at the AoE healing coming out. Actually, I don't see any AoE healing. Oh, those are villagers. We've got the Imam just moving forward, but now the veteran archer is going to be falling back. They've got their +2 upgrade, but they're just really not doing too much. It's so difficult for them to penetrate through this armor of the knights. Looking like they're just one-shotting, not even one-shotting. It's going to be about a 3-shot on these bad boys. But now that glow comes in. What do we got glowing right now? Is that, I don't know if that might be a meta or something, but look at all of the knights looking to dance upon the bodies of the Muslim. As the Muslim, unfortunately, going to get cleaned up here. There's nothing really going for him. 3 TCs. Mangonel for good measure. Good night, sweet prince. And right now, I mean, you've got the Mister who's sitting on 3 TCs. Just the economy of an absolute Greek god. X. No. No. An absolute Greek god. He's got the military schools just pumping out. He's also picked up the Advanced Academy, which is going to be pumping out non-stop knights for free, by the way. So these guys, they're going to be coming out for free. He's got the Mangonel out. Now he just pushes over to the enemy base. And when it comes to the enemy base, I mean, realistically, what does he do here? What does the Muslim do? He's got a few little satellite towns, but it just feels like the tempo's not with him. You can see 131 population. Good game just going to get called. The Muslim just going to tap out right there. Mister going to be taking the first game in this series. And wow, what an absolute pleasure to witness the Mister winning the very first casted game of the brand new DLC. Now we can take a look. These games are live, so we can take a look and see what the villager count's looking like. Mister with a little bit of an improvement there, an eclipse. Military count. Obviously, the Muslim raised up quite high, but a lot of that number was just archers. And, you know, archers without donzos, well, they don't do too well against cavalry. Let's just put it that way. Then finally, we can check on statistics. We can double check our favorite statistic here. The average villager idle time, 16 seconds coming in there from the Muslim. Very, very nice, fellas. I'll leave a link in the description to where you can catch EGC TV this weekend live, 15 GMT, Saturday and Sunday. Make sure you be there. I definitely will be. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.